Well, this bird crossed the road. It's not a chicken. It's not a rook either. It's a jackdaw. The thing went red, and so that the pedestrians could cross, and a little jackdaw hopped across like it had been the one that had pressed the button. I couldn't quite catch that for you, but at least I saw you saw the culprit. But it was quite funny. This is maybe worth just a couple more um, minutes of filming, maybe, because look, you've got the beautiful spring flowers out. You've got daisies. You've got daffodils. Daffodils being the flower which is said by people in various European countries, I don't know if it's in North America as well, but said to cause you to piss your bed, to wet your bed. So even in some countries, the slang term for a daffodil is like the bed pisser plant in various languages. So if that applies to your country, if you've got a slang term for daffodils, then by all means add it to the comments below. Dandelion itself comes from the lion's tooth, which is what talks about the petals look like yellow and long, and they are a little bit like lion's teeth. So dent de lion, the tooth of the lion. However, why people should look at the individual petal, I don't know, when after all it's an interesting plant, Taxaracum or something, I can't remember the name, but it begins with a T anyway, Taraxacum or something? No, I can't remember, blimey, my memory's failing me. But it's a plant, obviously, you can use it, you can eat parts of it, the leaves of it. Certainly if you've got a rabbit, you'll be used to picking the leaves of it because they're loved by rabbits. And the other thing which it's noted for is that the whole yellow flower gives way after a short time, where it kind of like, well, what happens to it? Effectively, it's a two-stage process. The first flower kind of like wilts back, and the yellow petals wilt back into the flower. Most of you from Europe and America will have seen this, no doubt, but just in case anybody's watching from countries where it doesn't grow, if there's any such place on Earth, I've no idea, because it's very invasive. Basically, the thing closes up, and then so you're looking at the flower head closed up, and then it suddenly sprouts forth again, but this time in a completely different way. It sprouts forth white and with like feathers. Obviously they're not like bird's feathers, but they're like feathery, downy tops, each bearing a seed, which is then carried by the wind. When a wind comes, it's enough to push that seed off the seed head, and those feathery tops of the seeds, they carry the seed further away. So that's one of the reasons why the dandelion is one of the most have I been saying daffodil? I'm stupid if I have. The dandelion is one of the most widespread northern hemisphere plants you can possibly lay your hands on. And people talk about as a dandelion clock. Kids, obviously this is not true, but kids during the days that they would pick this goes on all. I mean, it's already out, and there'll be still dandelions going around to late in the season. They go over and over and over again, this life cycle, and so even the dandelion clock. Shit, am I Wordsworth or something to be talking about daffodils? I drove as lonely as a cloud that drives on high through dales and hills, and all at once I saw a cloud, a host of glowing dandelions. So basically, kleszcze. So it comes out in two phases, yes. And sometimes you can see on the same patch of ground, you can see dandelions which are in both phases, both giving off their white seed heads, and what kids used to, and also being in the golden phase, the yellow phase, like now. This time of year you're only seeing the yellow phase because it's the start of the long spring-summer season which they operate, but later on you'll be able to see both phases going on at once. And kids take the white ones, and they basically they blow them, and however many blows it takes, however many puffs it takes to clear the dandelion clock, as they call it, that's basically the time of day that it is. So people think of the dandelion as almost like a sort of like folk way of telling the time. Of course, it doesn't work at all. It all depends on how many puffs you give it. Yeah. So if it's 1 o'clock, the kids tend to puff as hard as they can so that it all goes off in one, and then they say, "Oh, look, it works. That one worked." Of course, it's them doing it, and if it's 2 o'clock, then they do a fairly big first puff, but not so much as to get rid of everything, and then they follow it up with a final puff that they're pretty sure will get rid of everything on the 2, and then they say, "Oh, look, it works." So the kids can say, "Oh, yes, we proved it." So yeah, that's how those things tend to operate. But it's good fun. It's good fun for everyone to do that a little bit. Now I've come to a place where I hopefully will be able to get some money from the bank to leave with my dear wife, and a little bit more that I can take out of one account and put in another account. There we go. That's interesting habit, isn't it? But never mind. That's what we sometimes do when we're working in one country and living in another. Sometimes withdrawing from a cash machine is cheaper than actually the official sending method. Usually that's the case with currencies like the ruble. Anyway, so I'll stop filming. That was just a little aside, just to show you a little bit of what Warsaw looks like, driving through Warsaw in this early spring day, April the 20th, and I'm going back to Moscow later today, so that's why I have to leave some money behind, basically.